Today we're working on another request. This time it's from Bruce Ritchie. This one is called The Mother's Friend. So let's get going on this episode of Antique Bottle Stories. I was having a hard time cracking this story. There were a lot of ads in the newspapers all over the place, but there really wasn't much out there for the company or the people behind the product. It took a lot of digging, but I finally found the name Josiah Bradfield. He was born in Tennessee in 1832. He's the oldest of 7 kids according to this 1850 census. He's 18 here and he's a farmer. Well, he eventually becomes a druggist. By the next census in 1860, he's a merchant. We see he was in the Civil War in the Confederate Army in Georgia. It says he entered as a private and he came out a sergeant. Come to find out that the physicians of West Point, Georgia, petitioned the governor to return Bradfield from the field to resume his duties as the town's only druggist. He was released from the war to go back home after only 2 months. Now, pretty early on, he's selling a tonic he calls Bradfield's Female Regulator. I never found an exact date on when this product began. This tonic was supposed to help females become regular with their cycle. It even helps menopausal symptoms. Really, anything someone might call irregular, this tonic was used for. This one says, if taken during the change of life, great danger and suffering will be avoided. Here's a newspaper article from 1869, and it says, important discovery. Galileo invented the telescope. Columbus discovered a new world. Professor Morse is due the credit of teaching the lightning how to talk. But it was reserved to Dr. J. Bradfield to penetrate the mystic depths of science and drag therefrom the wonder of our century. The victory has been won, and woman is free. The sale of Bradfield's Female Regulator is unprecedented in the history of popular remedies, and thousands of certificates are coming in from grateful women attesting to its power and applauding its untold benefits. I mean, come on, if that doesn't convince you to go out and buy a bottle, I don't know what will. The 1870 census shows his family living with him, including his wife Sophia, 3 of his eventual 7 kids, and 3 others, which I think are all Josiah's brothers. 2 of them are also druggists. The next year, in 1871, the directory shows Josiah is a druggist, his brother Lewis is a manufacturing druggist, and here's 2 other brothers. It says E.K. is a traveling salesman for Lewis. All the brothers say that they live with their brother Josiah. A few years later, 1874, now Lewis is the salesman, Josiah is manufacturing patent medicines, and William doesn't look like he's working with them anymore. In 1876, Josiah is a salesman for Hunt, Rankin, and Lamar. So they seem to be switching around a little bit. Now, 1878 is the first time that I see an ad in the paper for the Mother's Friend. This is an external liniment to aid in the birthing process. Let's read how they word it. Every woman should know that the danger, pain, and horror of childbirth can be entirely avoided by the use of the Mother's Friend, which toughens and renders pliable all the parts and assists nature in its sublime work. There's lots of newspaper articles, ads, along with all kinds of testimonials. Not only did it claim that it would greatly reduce pain during childbirth, but also ensures the safety to the life of the mother and the child. And if that's not enough to convince you, this 1901 ad is a testimonial from a dad who claims that because his wife used Mother's Friend with their last child, he's the healthiest and prettiest of all his children. It says it prevents 9/10 of the suffering of childbirth, resulting in the mother's disposition and temper being much better, and that results in the child coming out with a much better disposition. I mean, come on, if you don't want some ugly, cranky kid, you better pick some of this stuff up on your way home. Now, a year later, 1881, an article is published in Atlanta Illustrated. It says, Dr. Josiah Bradfield at 26 Whitehall has an excellent drugstore. Now, let's pause a quick sec and go see where that is. Google Maps says it's right here. It's not 26 Whitehall anymore, though. Now, there are little illustrations throughout this article with everyone's businesses, but this one skips illustrating Bradfield's business, of course, so we can't confirm that this is the right building. It says, Number 26 is Bradfield's drugstore. The name is at once recognized as familiar in connection with female remedy. Dr. Bradfield has a fine line of pure drugs, medicines, and popular patent remedies. He keeps a large assortment of colognes and toilet goods. His business has grown very rapidly on account of the satisfied customers. The following year, 1882, we see Josiah on Prior Street. Then Josiah's brother Lewis is partners with a Mr. Fitzgerald at 25 Whitehall. But wait, why isn't Josiah at Whitehall anymore? What's going on there? Well, luckily I found this. The co-partnership existing between Josiah Bradfield and J.P. Fitzgerald is this day dissolved by mutual consent, Josiah having sold his interest to his brother Lewis Bradfield. The business will be continued by the new firm under the same name and style at the old stand 26 Whitehall Street. Then it says, in retiring from the drug business, I desire to return my sincere thanks to my friends and public generally for their very liberal patronage and beg that it be continued to the new firm. J. Bradfield. So it sounds like Josiah is retiring, right? Then why in the next year in the paper, Bradfield's 3 great remedies, yeah, he's got a new one now, he's got a hemorrhoid cream now, they're advertised by J. Bradfield on Prior Street, not his brother Lewis on Whitehall Street. Then in 1884, this says, Number 94 Whitehall Street was sold to Dr. Josiah Bradfield. So I guess he decided not to retire after all, because the following year there's the 3 again. Now, I was under the impression that Josiah sold his part of the business to his brother, but clearly that's not what happened. Here's an 1885 directory, the Bradfield Regulator Company. J. Bradfield is the president, J.W. Rankin is the secretary, and H.J. Lamar is treasurer. Now wait a second, we've seen those names before. Yes, about 10 years ago, Josiah was a salesman for Hunt, Rankin, and Lamar. So, Josiah didn't sell Bradfield Regulator Company to his brother. He must have owned a piece of Lewis's business, the Bradfield and Fitzgerald Company, and he must have sold that piece back to his brother. I think I've got it now. So now, June 1885, a large article was written about the female regulator in which another doctor proclaims its recipe to be skillfully and scientifically combined. This is June 1885. By August 5th, 1885, Josiah died. He was 52. Then we see Thomas S. Bradfield, I assume he's another brother, or I suppose he could be a son. Sophia, his wife, and Lewis, his brother, are dealing with Josiah's estate. By December of that year, Thomas is selling shares of the Bradfield Regulator Company. In 1887, we see that the Bradfield Regulator Company is still trucking along with Josiah's old buddies, Rankin, Lamar, and a few others running the business. Here's an 1888 ad stating that the business is still conducted at 26 Whitehall Street. Now, by this time, Lewis decided to leave Atlanta and he headed to Little Rock, Arkansas for a little while. Then he moved to Texas for a couple years before he died in 1903. In 1900, the Bradfield Regulator Company published a book called Health and Happiness for Women, which talked about issues suffered by women and advertised the Bradfield products. In 1907, I see 7 patents being renewed, so there must be a few new products. In 1909, the company was sued for its exaggerated claims and had to remarket the product. By 1913, a Mr. Loyless is now managing the business. I see very few newspaper ads in the 20s. The company's demise seems to happen around the time of this court document from January 1930. A case of the female regulator was confiscated and tested, finding it in violation of the FDA regulations and misbranding. Unfortunately, I don't think the company bounced back after this. They disappear from the newspapers and directories after this date. Now, I did notice a document from 1923 where a new item is listed, Bradfield's Prepared Lotion. That seems to be the only product that somehow survived. I have no idea all that transpired to keep this product going. I only know that it was acquired by the SSS company, and you can still buy the Mother's Friend lotion today. My bottle is a blown tooled top. It's a nice cork top. It says Bradfield Regulator Company on this side, and Atlanta, Georgia on this side. So Josiah was in business from right around the Civil War, 1860s. The Mother's Friend started sometime in the 1870s, and it was sold until about 1930. So there might be some machine-made versions of this bottle. This one isn't too crude. It's a pretty neatly made bottle, so I would probably date it 1880s into maybe the early 1900s. And that's it for today. So thanks, Bruce, for requesting this one, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.